small update of stupid stuff. Omnibot needs a battery, so I have it right here. I'll put it there so I'll forget. What is this crap? Well, my kid decided to spill chocolate milk on my video card in her computer that I let her use. This is a, what the hell is this? I bought this for the A1222. It's a Sapphire Radeon 280X GDDR5, blah, 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 blah. DisplayPort, HDMI, dual DVI. But she spilled chocolate milk in it and short-circuited her motherboard. Just a junk 1151 Core i5 3 point whatever. Anyway, I gave her the motherboard out of the Hackintosh, which was a similar one. This, I scrubbed all the chocolate milk off of it, hardened and crusted up, and there's some capacitors that are missing. I don't know if they're from her or if they were just absent in the build because they all look the same. And I cleaned up the slot, and I can get the fans to spin, but I can't get nothing out of it. So, turn the power supply on. I'm going to touch the power pin, which will wake this up. This should come on its internal 4600 Intel graphics. And I put my Hackintosh hard drive on there so I can boot OS X, basic mode, 16 gig of RAM, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if the PCI Express bus is toast. I was going to try another video card just to compare, and that's what I'm getting ready to do. I actually have another PS5 controller to do the Hall Effect sensor mod on, if you haven't seen that video yet. There's my Hackintosh, if the desktop ever loads. Just a couple things, old Pymega, all the original Pymega artwork from way back in the day, 1.5, so she's the old girl. I did find another SATA 2 160 Intel? Yeah, Intel 320 series, 160 gigabyte. That's for my Xserves. They work perfectly in the Xserves. The older girls, that port A is SATA 2 only, and the lower slot is SATA 3. Yeah, that's great. Alright, so let's shut this down. If I put the video card in there, it just like ruins the motherboard for like 10 minutes. Yeah, this was a really cool card. This was going to be for my A1222 until I figured out that it was a whole boat shit ton of money more than it was originally sold for. So I'm going to do the stupid right thing and put this in again. And we're going to use my toolkit as a motherboard brace because the video card slot sits up a little, you know, higher. So there's our motherboard stand. I'm all high-tech here. We need the PCI plugs for the graphics card. It takes two. So I'm going to turn it on the original HDMI, and I'm going to go into the BIOS setup. See, she fires up. The overclock light comes on. No beepy. Never posts. That's it. Just sits here like, well, Chris, you got to plug it in to the other port. Yeah, I know that. We'll plug it in. HDMI. Here we go. HDMI in. Power save mode. This chick is toast, and only one fan is spinning. I forget if it kicks the second one on when it gets hot. There's an overclock button. Lights up blue S for Sapphire. And that's all she wrote. Now, when I turn this off and remove this card, this won't do anything anymore. Put the HDMI back in the motherboard's processor slot thing. I'll just leave it right there. Turn the power supply back on. Turn this on. See if we get anything. Dead. Dead, 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 dead. So I'll turn it off. Now I'll turn it back on. And it should come back to life. Gigabyte. Thermal take. Heat sink. There we go. And now it should boot. So, boot Mac OS from SSD240. I mean, it's weird how it does that. But that pisses me off so bad about this card. This card was very expensive, even like in its afterthought, because I bought this, I think 2019, 2020, when the 1222 was supposed to come out. and that's why I bought that Thermaltake case. It had chocolate milk all around here, dried and hardened. The computer was full of her hair, dust, food particles, dust bunnies, potato chips, because it has holes on the top of the case. Same case that my old Windows 7 machine and my old Hackintosh were in way back in the day when I was on the other side. I fiberglass penned the holes. I'm still pulling sticky stuff out from the card, and here's chocolate milk. There's chocolate milk right there spilled. You can see a little bit right there on the glare, and just in the fans. And I mean, what a nice thing to do. And then apparently did this 2 years ago also. Didn't tell me yesterday was the death nail. My computer's not working. I turn it off, turn it on, it doesn't beep. Well, when you ground out your graphics card with chocolate milk, that's what happens. Alright, so that's the useless stuff that's going on here. I gotta put this board back in that big white tower case, but it's Friday. This is reboot day. I don't feel like doing this. I gotta do another Hall effect sensor that I don't feel like doing. And I also left the Vitamin on for 3 days. Oh, I also put new thermal paste on the CPU. On both. So, hers and mine. Because, you know, after many years, older computers, they get dried up. Replace your thermal paste, especially on Windows machines. Those Pentiums get hot. Found an SSD 240 from Inland Professional. That's Micro Center's house brand. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's got Linux on it or something. Old school stuff. Let me get organized because I'm not. PlayStation Red controller that my kid grossly destroyed the sticks on too. That Fortnite crap. So yeah, pop out your sticks, your L1s up here. I'm just using a pick because I'm lazy. You can access your other 2 screws. Try not to push your power button and turn your PlayStation on when you do this until you get your battery unhooked. I paired it with my PlayStation down here so I don't turn my kid's PlayStation on up in her room, because I bumped the button several times. Once you do this once, you got it. You'll be doing it for all your friends. Alright, so with those, we can pop the case apart. Make sure I got my 4 screws out. Almost. Backing. Now let's get that battery out of there. My workplace is gross. Sorry I didn't zoom you in there. There we go. Grossness. I'm going to be cleaning all this crap off too. Remove our cover. You gotta pull the wire out of the mic first so you don't screw up, and you know. Yeah, it's got blue pull tabs on this one. Very cool. Gosh. Alright, now we need to pop off the positive and negative. Remember, red on the bottom, on the top. For that, we're going to be using the WepTools 982.3. It's a precision soldering station from WepTools. Just grab your wire, heat it up, and when it melts, just lift the wire away. Alright, that's that. Now, we can take our board out. Get this cable out, these 2 cables, this little guy. When you take this out, depending on your controller design, my original one had rubber mounts on all 4 corners. This one only has 2, and they're plastic guide pins. So that means you got to be extra careful pulling it out so you don't break the guide pins. Because, of course, they're plastic. Use all 4 of your arms and hands to pull this out. Remember, this thing will fall out. So just flip it over and pull it off. It's held on by a sticky pad. And put it right back in that hole. It's going to save you a lifetime of trouble trying to get it to stick later. Set that turd aside, pop off your sticks, which will be gross. And here's your potentiometers of death. Again, I'm going to add solder to these. You do you. I'm using a silver chip quick flux enabled solder. We're just going to add some solder to the pads. There's a lot of flux from the factory here to chemically change your crap into something that would melt, and you're not really getting a good view of that because epic filmer. There we go. Now some people tell you to debraid the battery marker holes. I don't do that crap. Now you don't have to add solder. You don't have to. I just do because chemically changing the cheap crap that Sony used to stuff that the rest of the world uses is removal heaven. It makes the solder removal so much better. The part should come out freely. You shouldn't have to fight it too bad. The Sony click button is literally a button right here. When you click down, a bar pushes on it. Hall effect sensors actually have a sensor, like a photocell sensor. These are potentiometer based, which are little plastic and metal discs that turn against each other, and eventually they wear out in about 6 months, and you're $70 in the hole for a new controller, or you're $14 once for life. Now it is cool that we can clean out our controller and all the grossness that's in it. Alright, well the board is cooled down enough. I'm going to repeat and remove the other side here. Alright, second one, come out clean. Good time to alcohol your board. Give it a cleaning. Get all the dust, dirt, debris, chocolate milk from your child off of there. It's not a left or right, you just got to line them up with the holes. Perfect. Now I can continue to zap them in. Alright, that's that. Clean your tip, and you're done with that. Alcohol that, wash it in the sink, whatever. You're not in here, and you're going to be working in it, so you want to make sure your work area is clean and you're not getting food boogers from the past all over you. And then you have to repeat it for the triggers because they're gross as hell. Here we go. This was our new controller clicky stickies in there. We're going to clean our gross joy stick covers before we go on, because it's the only chance we're going to have to do it. When you solder on your wires, like, all this gets covered up as soon as you put this in there. So give these a pretty good scrub. I guess you can clean underneath of them, but while you're here, just kind of wipe the gross crap out. So these are keyed. They only go on one way, same as before. Find the sweet spot, give it a click. Find the sweet spot, give it a click. Now, grab your dude, make sure your cables are out of the way. I like to just fold just around the rumble motor for now. Just get them out of the way. Little Thailand tuck there. Tuck it away so you can't see it, but it's still there. Make sure this microphone condenser wire and these and this are out of the way. Kind of do the 3-finger salute. So now with your wires, joysticks down, of course. It's going to feel weird. You're going to have to do just a place, and then before you click it in, you want to make sure that the wires are out of the way, especially the camera wire, the side guys, this little guy right here. When they are, find your pins and click it down. You can start plugging in your controller wires again. They're pretty simple to plug in. Now you can we can solder the wires back in, so reverse your Thailand tuck, let everybody know who you really are. Pull these back out. Remember, red on the bottom and black on the top of your pins here. Clearly you can see where they go because of all the solder that's on them. So, there you go. So now, quick check before you put your screw in. Your controller dudes are there. Everything's nice and clean. And make sure you're depressed down all the way. Now you're going to put your battery tray back in here. This has the wire, remember, for the condenser mic. So slide this in place. Lines up on this little keyway here, this little screw hole, and there you go. Now I'll plug in the microphone. You want to make sure your wires are tucked underneath of the thing and into the rumble pad there. And then you're going to put your battery back in. It can only go in one way. Grab your dude, slide it over your triggers. Try not to touch the power button. Get everything sort of connected. Give it a good look. Make sure everything's going to fit in there correctly and smooth. And then clicker in place. Making sure these two are clicked. So give them a nice press. Make sure your action is good and it's smooth. Before you close this up, scrub your last crusty piece of child grossness off. They don't clean anything. 0.2 days until this is utterly disgusting again. So with your action checked and your lid clicked, now we're going to put our screws in so you're sure that everything's cool. It's a good time to take a Q-tip and brush out the condenser mic screen and anything around here. Verify that you're all plugged in and looking good. So we're going to put our screws back in before we pop our controllers buttons back in. So all four corners again. With them in, grab your triggers. They are labeled R1, L1. Line up the numbers. Line up the little dude. Give it a push. It's got a shaft and the recipient thing in there. Make sure they line up and then give them a push. And then finally, the cover piece. The last chance to wash this off, hose it out, alcohol it, get all the food particles and crap out of it. When you're assembling this, don't just put it on like this, or these plastic tabs will stick above. Stick the plastic tabs in here first and push like forward, and it'll just slide into place. And then you just click her in and you're done. Hall effect sensor modded PS5 controller in red. Now we got to do the connection. So what you're going to want to do is grab a USB Type-C cable and plug it into your computer. The GitHub.io page. And we're going to say, I understand. Now, we're going to have to plug in the controller. So plug it in. Bum, bum, bum. There it is. Gotta wait for Windows to detect it. It'll say it in a second. There you go. DualSense controller is ready, and then we press connect. As we want to do calibrate stick center. Now, I'm going to show you this in full screen here. I can't capture this because I got to show you both. So here, you see how the sticks are off? I can move them, but they're off center. So we're going to calibrate stick center, and it's going to say, hey, this is 4 steps and you're completed. Click start to begin. Move both sticks to the top left corner. And what you're going to do is you're going to want to watch these circles as I do it. They're ghosted, but top left, and just kind of eyeball them up and then let go. Press continue. Top right, you don't want to be like duh, so make sure you're angled correctly. Let go. Step 3, bottom left, line them up best you can, and let go. And then bottom right, and let go. Storing calibration, your 2 dots are now center. You can verify that. And these are all zeros. Perfect. And we say done. And then all you do is say save changes permanently. And that's right there. Changes have been saved successfully. When you're done, you can test the controller range. So you can click check circularity. And there's our coverage. See, we have full coverage a little bit. I didn't get enough left here. See how I don't have enough out? This one goes beyond the circle. Our error rate left is 12.3% because I got to do this over. It's off center, so it goes way out of here and not enough in here. So I got to redo that. You can do this as many times as you need to. There we go. Alright, not bad. And then we'll save changes. We can fine tune it, stick ranges, and that's it. You're done. You're done. And then don't forget to say, whoops, don't forget to say disconnect. And now you're good to go. So I'll link the pages I used in the description below, like the other controller. I said the same thing. And now we're ready to play. Thanks for watching. And as always, I hope you learned something.
You'll know from funny, you bastard.